be the very first time ever to come to a small embassy, because Malta is small, so we have everything is relative. But thank you and a very warm welcome to all of you for coming. I know our programs are crazy. We are all running back to back because Turkey is a very dynamic country and we have to be energetic here to cover everything. So thank you for accepting. We do have a lot of events. Today at 2 o'clock we have to rush. I will be punctual because the EU ambassadors have a meeting with Minister Kurum about COP31. We have to go to Büyükelçi University Hotel, so it's not round the corner. We have to run. Inshallah, we don't find a lot of traffic. As you all know, our guest speaker today is Miss Marie. So you have to put up with 2 Maries today, me and her. As you all know, she is the country director of the UN Women Turkey since June 25, am I correct? Okay. Ms. Dimon is a Canadian and who has more than 30 years of experience in development and humanitarian action, and she will be starting with a presentation, an expose. We wanted to do this a bit before, but she wasn't in New York, of course, during the UN Women event. Now, the theme for this year's International Women's Day, as you all know, is Rights, Justice, Action for all women and girls. And tackling globally have only 64% of legal rights of men. So we're not there 100 yet. But I will leave all these details, all statistics, info to Madame Maryse. This dossier is very much close to my heart because I used to work for 4.5 years with the dossier for Women, Social and Civil Affairs at the Union for the Mediterranean as a Deputy Secretary General, and we used to work a lot with UN women, and I used to travel a lot to all the Arab world because of my specialization in Arabic. The Secretary General always sent me. After the presentation of Madame Maryse, we will have those who wish, you are not obliged, who wish to intervene and tell us a bit about their stories, their country, any statistics, anything that they wish, about achievements, about women in their country. And then soon after we conclude the discussion, we will have a quick group photo. So please, Sarhan, you have to take a photo of all of us, and then followed by a light lunch or buffet. Okay, and then we run to Büyükelçi. So you may take, then after you will see, we will open the discussion. See where
Dear colleagues and friends, I'd like first to say thank you to the Ambassador Farrugi for bringing us together for this occasion. To be surrounded by women ambassadors in the scope of the International Women's Day in the spirit of solidarity and share purpose in both meaningful and timely at this point. As Ambassador Farrugi was saying, this year's theme is effectively rights, justice, and action, which could not be more urgent. As the Ambassador stated, a recent report by UN Women has found that no country has yet achieved full equality between women and men. Globally, women hold 64% of the legal rights enjoyed by men. Discriminatory laws, weak protection, and harmful practices continue to erode the rights of women and girls everywhere. At this stage, it is estimated that it will take us 286 years to reach parity. And unfortunately, every year we seem to add to those years. The adoption, as you know, the CSW started last week. The CSW is the Commission on the Status of Women. And on the first day of the CSW, the agreed conclusions were agreed, which was not a small achievement. I don't know if anyone watched what happened this year during the CSW. The member states still came together around a clear message. Justice for women and girls mattered, and governments must act to remove the barriers that keep them from it. Substantively, this is a solid report that we were able to obtain. Agreed conclusion. The text keeps the core architecture of the Secretary General's report and introduces some very important advances. It recognizes, for example, that community justice workers and paralegals opens new ground on digital justice and AI governance and strengthens the role of civil society through our older society approach to the reform. It also reinforces survivor-centered justice in crisis settings and calls, obviously, for stronger data and accountability on violence against women and girls. However, I do need to be honest with all of you. The space for gender equality is, in multilateral settings, is effectively shrinking, and we saw it very clearly in this CSW 70. We witnessed something which was unprecedented in 70 years. For the first time in the Commission history, the agreed conclusions were put to a recorded vote rather than the adopted consensus that we had in previous year. And I think it's very important for all of us to understand this. For decades, the work worked through consensus. This year, one of the countries voted against the agreed conclusion. The rest of the world stood, however, firm, 37 in favor with 6 abstentions. The text was adopted, but the fact that a vote was necessary at all tells us how serious the pushback against gender equality has become, even in the spaces specifically designed to protect it. What we are seeing, and we saw it clearly on the first day of the CSW, is not simply disagreement on language. It is a coordinated, well-resourced pushback against gender equality as a principle. Across the world, populist movements supported by transnational networks are framing gender equality and inclusion as threats rather than rights, presenting a return to traditional gender hierarchies as a solution to economic and social uncertainty. Between 2012 and 2018 alone, 13 European Union member states downgraded their gender equality bodies. This is not a regional trend, it is a global phenomenon. UN Women has recently convened 6 regional consultations in Turkey to assess the impact of this backlash on the ground. What we are hearing is deeply concerning. Public officials are increasingly unwilling to engage with civil society on issues directly affecting women and girls. Organizations delivering essential services, particularly on violence against women, face growing constraints. Anti-gender narratives are gaining traction, especially among the young men and youth. An increased administrative scrutiny is restricting civic space, making it harder for organizations to recruit volunteers and carry out their mandates. We see these pressures acutely in our own context. The space for gender equality advocacy is narrowing. Civil society organizations face increasing constraint, compounded by a sharp decline in official development assistance since 2023. Many organizations providing essential services are being pushed into financial precarity. When we lose them, we do not lose just programs. We lose the infrastructure of women's rights itself. We cannot look away from this. We need to find collectively a new way to articulate why gender equality matters, one that resonates beyond our own circles and builds broader coalitions of support. I must also note this year, Delegates from thousands of countries face significant barriers in traveling to New York due to expanded entry restrictions. Civil society voices, feminist organizations from the global south, many could not be in the room where decisions about their lives were being made. When we speak of access to justice, we must also speak of access to the spaces where justice is done. Girls aged between 7 and 12. Girls in the classroom. UN experts have called this, obviously, a grave assault on children, on education, and on the future of the entire community. There is definitely no excuse for killing girls in the classroom. War and conflict hit women and girls first and the hardest. We have been documenting this for years. It has always been so, and yet their participation in peace processes remain critically low. Peace agreements are more durable when women take part. This is not an aspiration, it is actually evidenced. Excellencies, each of you represent what is possible when barriers are overcome. The CSW 70 agreed conclusion called on governments to repeal discriminatory laws, strengthen legal aid, ensure accountability, and place women at the center of justice systems. These commitments need to be championed by all of you. This is a moment that calls for courage and for action, not in 30 years. Now, let us leave this room determined to push forward together for every woman still waiting for her rights to be recognized, her justice to be served, and her voice to be heard. Thank you very much.
Anti-equality thoughts. And I think that lately the different researches show that especially social media and computer games, in fact, are giving them this picture of women, which is not very nice. And in social media, you can be in a bubble where you can, create that environment which is against
women, even though, because a problem for us is not anymore that participation of women, because we have more ministers, we have more in parliament, we have ambassadors a lot, and because we have a 50-50 law.
Okay.
For a long time we have had, so it's obligatory that we are there in these spaces. So that's not an issue for us now, and we have been a few times in the first places with equality with the Nordic countries for a few years. But and women have been, what you're saying, we have the social programs that we have, most of them are directed
Through those studies, we were also talking with men and women, and we would raise issues, for example, violence against women. And we unfortunately found that, in many cases, you had both men and women justifying it, saying that, there was a reason she did something or whatever. So that there's really, that's why for a number of years now, many are working on trying to modify.
Biggest camp in 2015, refugee Syrian camp. And whoever been there, and especially coming from my country, with my experience, I mean, I know what you can try to do, and some discussion or doing the things that are always easy is also to break down even administration inside of the United Nations and to do some project and to say really what you see on the ground. That was the case when I was there and giving report, me and the ambassador of another country, and I was just my turn like ambassador, like PR was finishing, and they deleted half of my